let's just go back to one fundamental things, what I call trust. Okay, trust is actually very important. Now, if you understand the equation of trust, actually it comes from a couple of things. It comes from the ability to build very good relationship. Number two is really you are very credible. That means you seem to be a very credible individual. Third one is actually that you're very reliable, right? You're not flippant, right? Yeah. You're very reliable. Now, but even that, you have good relationship, you're credible, you're reliable. At the end of the day, your message, people will always study or try to understand what is your intent. Now, if your intent starts from a very constructive, very positive, and to enlighten, to enable, to want to be helpful, people can sense it, right? People can sense it. But if your intent actually starts from being disruptive and maybe perhaps even competitive at times, then people also can sense it. Now, then there's no trust.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? So if you understand the concept of trust, right, to build trust, I think it's very important that must be the bedrock of everything that you do. Number one, to extend and to expand your influence.
So you have to come in with the mind of not one is better than the other, that you know better than them, that they'll be better with us. So you cannot approach it with that mindset, because then you will be trying to convince others why we are better than you and why you should be with us, right? I think the mindset should be that we are here together, that together we will be better. We'll be much better than where we are. And you have to paint that. You have to explain why is that together we'll be better. But not to have this comparative mindset as what you have, what we don't have, and so on and so forth, because there's a never-ending arguments, right? One, I think second is to really empathize or acknowledge the concerns that the other party may have in this integration, for example, in the acquisition. What it means for them, how will it impact them, so that you must take the trouble of explaining it. And this is where a lot of personal communication is very important, because you can't do this through email, memo, and that kind of level of communication without a personal touch will not be effective. Everyone wants to hear from the CEO, to make sure they get assurance at that personal level. So you need to take that into account, and that's where really the personal communication make a big difference, because people want to know. And this is especially important because you do not know them before, right? They only came through the acquisition. So you need to be available, you need to be right there, communicating with every individual to give them the equal attention. Of course, you have to be mindful of your existing staff as well, because you do not want to be seen to be favoring one side and not the other, right? So you have to make sure you balance that as well, mindful that changes that you may have to make at the end of the integration will affect both the new entity as well as the existing team in the organization. So you have to, in that way, you first have to kind of also know what is the end state that you have in mind, because then your communication will also take into account the end state that you have for the unified entity, how it will impact individuals within the organization, and you got to be, in your communication, take that into account, so that you kind of also work the ground to prepare for changes that will come. Right? So in a way, it will not be a total surprise, but there is a kind of expectation that certain things will change, so that by the time the change has to happen, it will be more natural.
I think you need to build credibility. You know, the most important communication habit is that people learn to trust you. Then it's easy. But in terms of having conversations, right, we tend to keep it simple. The message has to be crisp. People have to understand it easily, and it has to be sincere. So if you ask me top 3, I would say keep it simple, be honest, and walk the talk.